Today's date, April 15th, 2025. Presently, we are with the treasurer, county treasurer, Terry Coombs. And with that being said, Terry, would you lead us off, please?
Yeah, before we get into this, I want to discuss that email that I forwarded to you.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if they are aware of that lady down in Jefferson Valley who was concerned about a guy operating a commercial auto business out of his home. And she also was concerned about chickens pooping over near her well. I'm not going there because I don't know anything about how sanitation goes, but so just so you're aware, I did a little research. I went on the clerk and recorder's site. That guy bought that property in 2020. He has a whole website about his automobile repair thing that's been on that website since 2020. So that thing has been in operation there for, I'm gonna assume 5 years, at least 4. And there's nothing that we can do. LaDana's looked,
I've talked to her.
LaDana's looked, I think you drove by there. There's no sign that says it's an auto repair shop, but he's definitely got a website, because I went out
Yeah,
and
he's got a
Googled it. Secretary of State, he's had a license with the Secretary of State since 2020 as well. I don't think there's anything we can do. I will respond unless you want to. I prefer you did.
I would.
I think this is a covenant issue.
I do
and
too.
They need to hire a lawyer if they don't want that there, but he's been there. And she recorded a deed in 2020 from Virginia Fetters to
I think it was.
So there is governance up there?
Have to be quite a bit for it to get
I
down
say
to
if
that
it's not
level.
phones or anything else, then.
I can fill you in a little more on it. Where Terry's talking about is Norman Lane. You go up there, and where our prior deputy Jason Corse lived, across the street almost, just kitty corner to it. And he's got it's a taller building, and there's a other house there, structure, but he used to work down there for another entity, and then he's now gone on his own, so he did do it on the side, and it's just been going on. I got a call from the people on the south side, said it was an eyesore, never followed through with it. They got a berm of dirt there, that's their prerogative. And then they chose not to follow through with anything, and then who you're talking about, the individual on the other side, the north side, is the one that's sort of hollering about it because she's a realtor.
She's definitely a realtor, because I looked at that.
Yeah, she is a realtor.
So there's nothing,
We're
I
talking-
told them already that I have nothing, I have no,
Of course, yeah.
No authority to do.
I'm
anything.
not even a part of whatever, but that I would check, and that's why I forwarded you that.
Right.
And I forwarded to LaDana, and LaDana's like, they can't do anything. The town of Whitehall cannot do anything because they are not, that's not where they're at. Like I said, I looked in the clerk and recorder's records. He legitimately bought that property in 2020 from the lady on the south side, by the way.
Okay, yeah, wrestler.
No, Fetters.
Oh,
So, because according to the records. Anyway, I'm not gonna get in the middle of this.
you're right.
And I don't think chickens hurt the wells, but then again, I'm not a sanitarian. But anyway, there's nothing I can do here.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And I don't think that we as a county can do anything either. I think this is a covenant issue,
I agree.
and they're gonna have to hire a covenant lawyer, or whatever that is, because I don't. So I just wanted you to be aware of
That's not a
that.
problem.
I'm just
That's
not,
Kim you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get it. I'll send an email to her.
yeah,
We've already discussed
there's
it.
nothing I can do.
I appreciate what you did.
Anyway, I told her that at the beginning, but she sent another email yesterday, which I
I
just
know.
forwarded it to you.
All resources are exhausted, at least in my county staff.
I mean, sure, she's gonna be upset with us, but
But the thing that I was in question, I already talked to LaDana this morning too about it, but her visibility is affected, her view. As for if she were to look south, but she's got trees outside in her house and then a bigger yard, so. I really don't know what's going on. in
maybe
there
he
as far as-
shouldn't be operating a business there. I don't know what their covenants say.
Well, that's
Maybe,
it.
but the thing
That's gonna be
is that
their
I don't,
determination,
I don't,
but county has nothing to do with
I
it.
can't do anything.
So
Maybe she could
for-
call the sheriff and complain about people walking in and out. If it was a drug-related activity, I'm sure she could call the sheriff's office and complain, but I think it's just this guy doing.
And
That's
those
how,
cars aren't there all the time, so it's not like a junkyard or anything else or an
well,
ice.
she said there was 18 cars in the driveway.
I
don't
didn't
know.
count that many. I counted cars.
But again, like I said, I'm trying to be, work smarter and not take on anything I
Oh, I
don't.
understand. No, no, thank you.
Okay, so, subject over. So we do balance, we We do have an outstanding item, two outstanding items. You'll note them on the top in section C. That, the one we've got cleared in April. There's still a $402 one that, I just sent an email to Britton and asked her how come this isn't fixed yet, but anyway, that's beside the point. We do balance, I wanted to point out to you at the end of your packet now, and I'm gonna try to do this every month. So what this is a, spreadsheet from the 1317 account, which is not included in cash. So it's not included in cash. And one of the things the auditor said was that he didn't think that account has balanced since before my time here. So I'm gonna show you what I think I'm gonna show you, unless you tell me you don't care, that's fine with me. This is my spreadsheet, and on the back page, it'll show you what we believe is outstanding on that payroll account. This is your tax account. So we have an issue with Jefferson High School for $1,500, which now Jefferson High School says the state owes her that money, but we've paid that money. It came out of our account. So it's actually short that. The 3,108 we've cleared up in April. And then the last thing is that we have an e-check posted in April. So basically this account is balanced to the penny.
Nice.
Okay. And when you look at the running balances, there's a couple of overdrafts, and that unfortunately is when sometimes people press the button before their deposits are here. So it does happen, and then Rhonda always calls me and gives me a what to, and then it's all over with. So anyway, so
What is this account, Terry? Is it the school
it's
payroll
called,
account?
it's all of the payroll taxes for everybody.
Okay,
So the county as well as the schools,
so all our payroll comes out of this account?
not payroll, just
Just the
taxes,
taxes?
insurance and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that.
Gotcha.
So not payroll itself. Payroll shouldn't be coming out of this. So what it basically should be is what's coming in should be also coming out. So you have to kind of play a little bit, and you have to say, okay, so we got a deposit from Whitehall for 52, and then you have to add these numbers to make sure that that 52 is cleared. And that's why I went ahead and put in Whitehall there. So if you added those numbers, you'd get the 52. Basin does, not Basin, Boulder, she does this thing where she makes one deposit for every debit. So one credit, one every debit. So you'll see like there's multiple things for Basin, but she finds it easier for her, and that works for me because it's easier to say this egg notches this egg and it's good.
The Jefferson or Boulder Elementary?
Boulder Elementary.
Okay.
So Jefferson High School is having a serious balancing issue. And that's why I'm tracking her closer than anybody right now, because she is not doing everything she could. So she has asked she has an auditor coming, a guy that specializes in balancing. He's coming in the next couple of weeks. So we're gonna give her another 3 years worth of reports for the last 3 years. And he's gonna try to figure out what's going on over there. I've sat over there for hours and I get her in balance, and then
Then it falls apart again.
I'm not,
Right.
I don't know what's happening, but it's ever since they took on the bond thing, it's big. She just either doesn't have the time or she's having difficulty. I don't know. I'm not gonna criticize her because she really does try to do her best, and so, anyway, then I wanted you to look at the suspense fund, which I think is close to the back. It's about 3 pages in. So, I always list what's outstanding in that fund because, it's a place where it's a place for,
Yeah.
it's a crime of opportunity if you wanted to be the criminal, but that's not me. But, so what I try to do is list out for you the things that match what this balance is. So the one I wanted to point out to you the most was this 96.99.53. I'd like to transfer that to the general fund. What that is that out of balance that was going on for the last year. That's what we believe. We narrowed everything down to that we can't find. It is a plus.
That's a
So I'm thinking, and if it's okay with Ginger, that we just move it to the general fund now, because it's been sitting now here for 6 months and nobody's claimed it. No, I haven't. Jefferson High School, I don't believe. I think we've got them cleaned up enough so that I know that it's not them, because most of the money was them, and that we fixed that last fall. So unless you just want me to hold on to it till like July 1, and then we'll just keep it here until the end of the fiscal year. Maybe do have an opinion, but, there's no point in me keeping it if it's,
So a lot of the stuff that was wrong was with JHS, and she's still
yeah,
wrong.
she's gotta have she's having an audit, but at least I know that her taxes are right.
But she's having someone come in when,
She's supposed to be there like the first week of May, that Todd, whatever his name is, Watkins, I think, from Bozeman. He
so maybe
says,
wait until after her stuff is settled,
we could do that,
because it was always off because of her, right?
yeah, well, yeah. Either that or somebody's got a credit somewhere that we don't know about, but for everything else except for those monies,
And then if
We
we don't know
balance.
by June 30th, then I would say do it then.
yeah. I just don't, I want you guys to be aware that that money's sitting there, so so you're right, as soon as we, I make sure Jefferson is okay,
Yep.
then we just throw it in the general fund and you guys can spend it any way you want. You just got a blessing.
It's already spent.
And there you go.
That's got-
Everything else on here has, this Cheryl Smith person, she's down in Whitehall, somehow or other she sent a check in, we haven't been able to reach her. Doesn't match anything, so that's why that's in there. We know that her taxes are 2,774, but her payment should be closer to 900. And then IntelliPay gave us too much money last year, so I'm gonna move that out to, treasurer's fees. But probably in April or May, I'm just sitting there waiting in case they want it back, but they don't seem to want it back.
On this Smith, where do they live? Do they live on First
Some in
Road?
Whitehall. There's two Cheryl Smiths in Jefferson County. One's in the south, one's in the north. One's in, Clancy, but it's not her. Cause believe me, she would know if she needed money back. She's pretty
Right,
good with
right,
her stuff.
right.
I think she's in Whitehall, I think. But anyway, so, everything else I think looks good. I will tell you in the overshorts account, I talked to the state of Montana about this. There's a lady here in town. She, in 2023, she came in with a little blue card to renew her car. Jessica renewed it. No big deal, right? She had a card. Jessica renewed it, gave her a plate. The next year she renewed it again. And then in 25, she wanted to go perm, or in 24, she wanted to go perm, and so we permed it, but we've been registering and perming the wrong car. She doesn't own the car anymore. And, she actually owns a Pontiac. This was an Audi. So she's kind of, I don't know if she's known to anybody anywhere else, but she's kind of a little bit excitable, and she's mean, and she's a little rough. And I've had so many conversations with her, and then she called the governor's office and had a conversation with them about how the state made a mistake by saying there's this blue card. Well, she sold that car, but the state doesn't stop sending blue cards till after 5 years of no renewal. So she sold it a couple years before she actually bought the card in.
Hmm.
But, so when I talked to Mike Walker, the bureau chief at VSB about it, and he says, you know, this is her fault. And I said, I do know that. It's actually that the customers should be looking at what they're doing. When they take their stuff out of the office, they should be going, oh, wait a second, this is not the car. And the only reason why this got caught is she had been in an accident, and the highway patrol looked at her plate to inspect it, and he goes, this is an Audi plate and you're driving a Pontiac. And that's why that officer brought it to her attention. She probably called 3 or 4 times a day. She's a little bit rough. So about a week ago, I just said, take it out of overs and shorts and register that damn Pontiac. Call it good, because I can't, nobody deserves to be that abused. I hate to say that. And Mike said to me, he said, well, I'll tell the governor's office that. And I said, I don't care if the governor knows or not. I think it's the right thing to do, because I don't need her in here treating my people that way. So we paid for it. She called and she started to complain about something else. And I said, okay, Nicole, here's the deal. The county has paid for your registration. Let's call it good. Let's not talk about this anymore, because really, your job is to make sure that whatever you're doing in any office, mine office or anywhere else, the documents that you get match what you needed to do. So I really truly believe this is your responsibility. She hung up on me and I have not talked to her since. So I'm good. I'm not upset. It's just that we pay for it. I don't really want it to be, it's just very much of an exception to the rule. So I don't want to make that a habit. by the way. But I had money in overs and shorts and that's where I took it from. So, and that would have been swept to the general fund in July anyway. So anyway, so I think that's good. Next month, we'll need to do a resolution to change our STIP account signers. Do you still want to be on that? Because I just need to update it. You want to put the young guy on there?
The greener guy.
Sure.
And I need to change the signers on the Valley Bank account down south. So maybe you could do that and then Corey could just stay on the STIP account.
Whatever you.
Whatever, it just needs to be done, it need to be updated and cleaned up because STIP just wants us to make sure we're right, and it requires a resolution, so I'll make that up and then I'll bring it, and then you can do whatever that process is. I don't know, 2 weeks notice, whatever that is.
Resolution.
It's just a STIP resolution, it's probably, I don't know if it needs all that public
Probably just
hearing.
needs to be on the agenda.
So the last thing on my list is, it's time to charge off personal property that's 5 years or older. I have quite the list. Mobile homes. Unfortunately,
You gonna go repossess them?
I thought about that once, if you remember, Craig wouldn't remember, but Dad wouldn't remember. I really looked into that, but repossessing means I have to put them on the county courthouse lawn and auction.
Yeah, we
off.
looked into it too, and
There's no way to do that.
it is a lose-lose.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hauling people's stuff. It is a lose.
No way to haul them, nowhere to put them.
Nowhere to put them, and then if you do
Can't
an
live
auction,
in.
you're not gonna get your tax money. It's just,
Set them up for affordable housing.
I think that would be great, except that there's people living in them, some of them, anyway. And I don't know if the solid waste department has talked to you about this, but there's an issue in that, not David's court, I think it's called Highland, what is it called?
To Lori's old
What,
court.
Yeah,
the new
Lori's
stuff?
court.
Well, it used to
Is it
be
Hidden
Hidden
Village?
Used to be.
She's got a bunch on the back row that are like campers, and so they're titled, but they're not mobile homes. And him and I had this discussion last year about how do we get solid waste on those, because you can't put solid waste on a titled vehicle.
Mhm.
So we added them to the land, because that's what some other counties are doing when you have something that they just add it to the land.
Makes sense.
So Lori called last month and she's like, I don't understand this tax bill, which she has not paid yet. It has 10 solid waste on it because there's 10 items, people are living in them, campers or whatnot. So, so just be aware. I think that I don't know if Mike has a policy written up yet, but we got to figure out some policy that says if they're not privately owned by, John Doe, and we can't charge the solid waste, we probably should just put it on the land. That's what a lot of the counties are doing, so they can collect that, because they are still taking stuff to the.
They're living in them all the time.
All the time. And
True.
so he went over there and he went through that park and he wrote down names and spaces and what they were. So I have supporting stuff, and I told Lori that. She's not happy, but. So there's
She just passed
18
it off
solid
to her.
waste on that, 18 solid waste on that, 10 are on the property, and the rest of them are on privately owned. Plus she owns, there's 2 families in 1 unit. I mean, it's just a mess. And when I talked to David about it, I told him the same thing about him, and he said, no, if there's something there that you don't think can charge it, add it to the land. He was totally fine with it, but he doesn't have any of that.
Right.
Those mobile homes are owned by individuals or being sold by him to those individuals, so he's trying to run a better. But, so that's where we're at with that, but some of those mobile homes have to be charged off. Okay. I'm done now.
So when we charge them off, they still continue.
Well, from whatever, so
Okay.
I'll take it up to 2020. New mobile home bill, oh, that's probably the other thing. So normally we're billing mobile homes right now, but there's legislation still pending up there that could affect that billing. And I am never rebilling again, just, we're not doing that. It costs too much money.
We
So,
talked about this the other day.
yeah, I'm not, so I made so along with the county treasurer board, we made the agreement with DOR that don't download anything until the session's closed, if nothing else.
And just bill them once.
Yeah,
We got an
Just
email
go
on that.
once.
Did you guys get that email?
well, DOR sent it out to everybody, so
Yeah.
hopefully they sent it out, but, I think that the latest we'll probably bill is mid-May, if the session closes and then nothing else. We'll just bill it mid-May and they'll be due at the end of June, and it will still be, the first half will still be in this fiscal year. Lori at Silver Bow is now billing July and December, so in that fiscal year, so, I mean, we can certainly change that, but I don't know that we need to. I think we'll be fine, it's only 345 mobile homes, and half of them don't pay anyway, so,
And
shouldn't say half, 1/3.
So to answer my question, we're writing off everything before 2020, but it's still stacking up after that. So it just keeps adding up.
It just keeps adding up, and we have to do it again every year.
All right,
That's the unfortunate part, but I don't know what else to do.
they're not gonna pay them anyway.
Well, no, and we do have one house I'd like to think about county tax seat on, but it's owned by Demers. It was Phillips and Donna's. Danny's living in it, and taxes haven't been paid since like 2018.
Mhm.
So I don't know, we could take a county tax deed and threaten them, but I doubt they'll come up with any money, so I don't think we wanna own that house. To be honest with you,
Anybody else is taking a tax deed on it yet?
because it's improvement only,
Oh,
so it's not attached to the land,
gotcha.
so it's.
Yeah, we probably.
I don't know why it was built that way, but the land underneath it is now owned by, Dan's daughter, whose name is out my head, but
She should get it.
Mariah. But she doesn't live there. I don't think she cares.
Mariah Miranda.
Maybe it's Miranda,
It's Miranda,
maybe it is, I don't know.
but yeah.
I used to know all of those kids, but
Lost track, huh?
So the sheriff's office.
I don't, they probably do. I'm not going there either. Okay, anything else
Yeah,
we,
I got a question.
sure.
On the protested taxes, how often do you, print that out? I mean, is that, annually, or how does that work? And then,
So up until Kim's gone now, I'll be sending it to Ginger. If there's a protested tax, she'll get that report. That is only interest that's sitting there. There's no protested taxes on, that we currently have.
Oh.
That's just the interest, and that's been sitting there for a long time. So Bonnie and I wrote it off one year. Kim and I wrote off some of the interest last year and put it in the general fund. So that's just what's left. I think it's like $200 or something.
254.
Yeah. So that's basically just interest. We have no protested
Oh,
tax pending right now. So that's just interest sitting there. Bonnie always felt like, and I don't know how Ginger feels, but Bonnie always felt like she should have something in there in case we had a protested tax and we had to pay interest. We've never done that. We've never had to yet, knock on wood. So that 255 is just interest that's been sitting in that fund from previous
Well,
things.
it is another reassessment year, isn't it?
Yes. So I always just leave it. I got rid of it, last year with Kim, the excess interest, there was probably $800, which I just dropped into the general, I dispersed it. So I'm very happy that we are showing balancing, so I'm really happy that I don't have to explain to the newspaper, at least for the 25 year, why we're been out of balance, but Keith's already asking me, so. Anyway,
When's your new windows come in?
May, right in the middle of tax season, May 17th, May 16th. Whatever that is, Thursday, Friday, it must be the 14th. I warned Pat, I said, I am not gonna tell you no when to do this, but just be aware it could be busy in here. So start with the hallway, start with Shane, and then, or start with us first when it's maybe less traffic and then go down the hall. So
That'll be nice.
I'm excited.
Then they're gonna insulate. I talked to Pat a little bit last week. And they're gonna do some insulation in the wall below the windows or something too.
I'm gonna tell you,
No
you,
insulation.
you have not sat in my office
No,
when it's
0.
30 degrees below zero.
Yeah, there's no insulation below
It's
the windows,
cold.
Wow,
so,
they can put it in when they pull those windows out.
yeah, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna
Yeah,
fix
I
that
mean,
too,
the
so.
heater in my office is there for a reason. Usually it's on from October to.
You can move to my office. It was like 105 degrees in there Friday.
Well, I know the boiler over there works
It's,
overboard.
it is off. There's apparently something in there that's not working the way it is, and he said they usually go out every 4 or 5 years or something, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just and if you sit where Maggie is, the windows, like, you can feel the wind blowing through the windows and. So I'm very happy that we got this done, and I'm very happy that you found some money to do that. I think in the long run, I think you're gonna see a less electricity bill from that office, from that building.
That said, it should be pretty significant.
I mean, it should be sealed up tight, and I think it's gonna be
The radon
huge.
pump's gonna eat all that savings up.
Oh, yeah, yeah, then there's
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and Megan brought me one to take home. I go, she said, well, if you've been exposed in 2 places, that you might wanna just know that. I go, maybe I don't wanna know that.
I'm at the age where if I die from radon, I'm probably okay.
Just let me go to sleep and not wake up. I'll be fine with that. I just like to get rid of this sore throat. So, yeah, so I think it's exciting. Everybody's pretty excited about it. We'll just work with it. I told Pat, we will work with it. We'll do whatever you want us to do to make it work, and people will just know. I mean, when taxpayers come in,
It shouldn't be
just,
that big.
it should be easy. The guy said they'll only be there like 3 days,
Yeah,
so they must have
They got it figured out.
how to do it, so. But anyway, I will be out tomorrow because I have to see if I can fix my throat. But otherwise, I should be here until graduation time, and then we'll have to make a run to North Dakota, but we should be here.
Good, very good, very appreciated. You're doing a great job.
Well, I
Thank
appreciate you saying that. It's been this car system.
Even on the tunnels thing, I really
Oh my
appreciate
God, the
you
tunnels thing.
pushing that through and keeping up on that.
That's,
I wish I could have made it to that hearing, but it didn't sound like it mattered anyway.
didn't matter. Didn't matter. It's the same old, same old.
Mm.
When, that gentleman asked me that, it's like, I can't tell you the details because it was confidential, but I can tell you that's the same old message I've heard for 12 years. It's the same old message. I'll pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
you've been hearing that forever,
Yeah.
ever since.
Well, they've been doing that before, even before I was here.
Yeah,
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
It's been, yeah. And car system is actually gonna be good, I think. We balanced the first month on cars. I mean, well, we only had 2 weeks, but 2 weeks on cars, and we balanced on the old system. We balanced the penny, we sent them a check. The state says we were right on, so I feel really good about that. But the car system is a little stressful in that it's just new. It's really what it is. And Friday, it was just Chris and Maggie and I, and I'll tell you, by the end of the day, neither one of us, we did not like each other. It's not that it's just that we were so frustrated with, and there was a line, it's the first line we've had in weeks, and it was a pretty stressful day. I think we all went home and drank. I didn't drink, but I thought about it. Yeah,
Change
we'll
is
get it.
always tough.
We'll get it.
Change is
We'll
tough.
get it, and Tuesday, who's got a much younger brain than me, she seems to. And Christine,
Yeah,
they,
I think Christine helped me and it was.
Christine's, oh, she knows what to do. We have put the car system all on our desktops. So that helps, so that when they're pre-entering stuff, they can do it right at their desk. I've noticed that they aren't gonna use the front windows as much, but that's okay, whatever. Levi's collected all of our excess equipment, so I need to write that down before Ginger asks me for inventory, because now it's down the hall and I don't have to make sure I know what's down there. But I think in the long run, it's gonna be a very efficient system. It's just a little it's really causing some moments. How do you print this? What do you do? And yeah, it's been, yeah, but it'll be fine. In the long run, it'll be fine. But like I said, Friday night, we were like, we're not talking to each other. We just need to go home. So, because, you know, we're,
Some days, that's the best
some
thing to
days,
do.
it's okay. We're just gonna go home. So,
That's it.
okay. Anything else you have to ask? So if you'll send that email to her,
Absolutely,
that'd be
and I'll-
great.
And I'll put it, so you get a copy too.
Yeah, I wish we could
And
help her,
Ladina.
but I mean, I understand
No.
their concern, but I
If
can't
it's
help
all
her.
civil, I haven't looked at it, so, yeah.
Um,
I don't know what brought it up all of a sudden. I mean, while this has been going on. Unhappy neighbors or what between, I don't.
know, but when I
That's their
looked and saw he's been living there since 2020, that's when the warranty deed was filed. He's been there a long time, and if he's been
Yeah.
doing this a long time and you haven't asked for covenant protection, I don't
Well, that's a
know
good
what
point.
the law, I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I don't
that
either.
works,
No,
But I don't wanna be involved
you
either,
don't wanna be. doing it.
cause I'm
No,
I'm
I'll-
trying to stay out of stuff. That way I get in less trouble.
I was just gonna say, there's, not a lot of hope for, accountant applicant for Kim's position. I think this week I'm gonna start calling, a few consultants to see what their availability is during the summer with closing entries and getting prepped for next year's audit. And I talked to state admin last week about, doing audit in lieu of annual report. Which we've done before. We did that when Bonnie left. And we'll still try and go through the exercise of creating the annual report because it's a really good education thing to know everything. But just for time deadline's sake, we'll probably just ask if we can do the audit instead for annual report to the state. And I had lunch with Bonnie last week, and one of the consultants is the gal that she worked with quite a bit. So, but it sounds like since all these people have started doing this accounting consulting for local governments, they're really busy. So,
I'm
Yeah.
sure, because everybody's in the same boat.
so it might be expensive to hire someone to do that, but it's, not as expensive as a full-time employee paid as an accountant. So,
At least until the fall, when maybe you could re-advertise or something.
so right now it's open until, May 2nd. So, but I just don't have a lot of hope for it. And Frances is really smart, and she's been in college for it, she just hasn't used it so much. So I think between her and I, we can kind of, and Kim's notes, we can kind of struggle bus through it. And then if we have someone come in to kind of clean up any little messes that we've made, then we'll do that. So.
Just out of curiosity, would that be something that Francis would step into, take that position as such? I mean, you're working it together, but did she go into Kim's position?
I don't know. I don't know that yet. She's really smart. She really enjoys doing that stuff, but she also has a pretty short bandwidth for those things. Kind of spazzes out a little bit. So, and there's just a lot to it, but so I don't know yet. What we're figuring out.
Well, maybe
Good.
your daughter-in-law should apply. That's where her education is, but maybe she doesn't want to do that, but.
Let me know when you have some time, we'll talk. It's a long story.
She's very smart too, and she's educated in finance, but.
So that's the idea with the county stuff. And
I think that's probably a good idea.
summer might have, seeing if someone else can come in and kind of look everything over and make sure that we don't.
Wonder if John Paul could recommend anybody too. He might know somebody.
I'll make some calls this week and see what their availability is, this summer. And
That Todd Watkins that are coming in for the high school, he's been doing that, all the schools, he might be somebody. So speaking of that too, I did go over, Steve, with the contract with Whitehall Schools, and as of July 1, Whitehall Schools funding will not come through us. It'll go directly to them. We'll collect taxes and pay them out each month, but
We'll start in July.
July 1. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna be here when they come back looking for help, so.
I've talked to all the accountants I know and they got used to running their own stuff. They don't want to be in an office 8 to 5.
And Lewis and Clark County is hiring an accountant right now for $50 an hour.
50?
Yeah,
Is that what you said? Dang.
it's like 48 to, the range is like 48 to $52 an hour.
Maybe I should go see if I can take my,
Accounting exam.
my CPA exam.
It's hard to compete with that.
No, I don't want to be.
Yeah, you can't.
Bonnie said that when she hired Kim, Lewis and Clark was the same as us, but I think when the legislature upped the state's pay a couple years ago, I think that's when Lewis and Clark County upped theirs too, to be competitive with the state.
Wow, that makes sense.
But I can't imagine the state pays $50 an hour for an accountant. but maybe-
I wouldn't think so, but
I don't know what level the accountant would be on, must be pretty high. Anyway, if you need me,
We know where you're at.
I know where I'm at, behind the leaky windows. But not for long.
Not for
they're
long,
being fixed.
not for long.